Hey folks, welcome back. It's good to see you again. And today I want to talk about some of the feedback I've been getting from all of my wonderful friends who actually watch this show. It's a new experience for me. When I started this whole thing, I was doing it because I had to. The expectation of actually having viewers never really crossed my mind. I mean, in a way, what I say and why I say it is just because I have to. You know, I was, called. During periods of our life, we do go through times when God speaks to us, and it's very clear that we have to make some moves. And this all started for me, as far as making moves is concerned back in 2018. I was led and guided. And honestly, ever since, I've been wanting to do this since 2012. Back in 2012, I wasn't really ready. I'm not sure what I would have said or done that would have been of much use to people because I myself was still figuring a lot of this out and still am always. I spend many, many hours studying and practicing and living this way of life. I don't just wake up and come up with this stuff. It happens because I devour information that relates to it. But back in 2012, technically I wasn't really there. I didn't really have the focus or the ability to sit still long enough to put all this together. I mean, this took, for me, it was a lot of effort to pull together. So I started all this back in 2018 with a white vinyl screen, and I didn't even really know how to use my camera, and I just sort of went for it. There's an expression, throw your heart over the bar and the rest of you will follow. And that's sort of been my approach to all this. And there's just so much overcoming of so much stuff just to find the time and the energy and the skills and to pull this together. It's been evolving, and again, my primary motivation was not viewers, although how could it not be, really? Truly what it was to connect and to get through to people, because as someone who watches and pays attention to the world, and as someone who has gone through a lot of trauma, throughout my life, but specifically during my childhood, we notice when things aren't congruous. We watch what a person says and what they do. We pay attention. And what I've noticed, in basically my whole life, is that everything is backwards. We live in a backwards world. And what should make sense is not allowed to make sense. It's sort of attacked, and people who made sense were pariahs. I've kind of always been a black sheep or a pariah in my family and in society, really. Some people, when they meet me, they're like, "Where have you been all my life?" And others are, "You make no sense to me, man." And for a while, the whole "you don't make any sense to me, man" thing got to me. I thought it was me, not them. And, as I've moved around from place to place and sort of gone on mission, from mission to mission, sort of doing God's will, I've seen different places and different people. What that has shown me is that, okay, and we'll even go back to the days of AA, right? When I was in AA, I was in AA for 6 years. I went habitually to meetings, 2 or 3 times a week, at least. And in the beginning, the first 2 or 3 years, I was going to 4 or 5 meetings a week, and sometimes more. And what I learned was that everybody pretty much has the same problems. And there's a phrase in AA. It's called terminal uniqueness, and that is indicative of an unwell human being's propensity to think that unwellness is exclusive to that individual, and that is not the case. The reality is that we pretty much all have the same issues, and it's because those issues come from the same place. They're passed down to us. So we have the issues that the generation before us had and the generation before them. It's just over time, the issues become more solidified and more ingrained in a person's personality, such that what is actually an issue or a defense mechanism or some unhealthy behavior has gotten so deeply embedded into the psyche and consciousness of the individual that they don't even realize they have an issue. Like, I firmly believe that everyone is addicted to something, which means that everyone is an addict, okay? And again, everything's backwards in the society we live in. Being an addict is not the end of the world. In fact, being an addict actually, it's self-soothing, okay? We live in a war zone. We're bunnies, right? We're soft, kind, caring, compassionate, and we live in a world that's, filled with death and destruction and fear and terror. And it's just, one, it's not supposed to be that way, but two, we're not cut out for it, okay? So when we survive every day in this world, when we go out and we sort of take our own life in our hands, just getting in our cars and, driving down the street in these death boxes, it's just not the way it's supposed to be. I know in each of us there is a vision for the way it's supposed to be. And I bet if we took a survey, it wouldn't be too dissimilar. And it's, we don't want much. We want basically peace and, freedom and the ability to make our dreams come true through hard work and perseverance. And, if we do work and we do persevere, then we deserve to get what we want. But in the world we live in today, that's not possible. Hard work, perseverance, courage, vulnerability, they are not rewarded in our current society. They are attacked. But that doesn't change the fact that we should continue to pursue being healthier, being sane. Some of the feedback I've gotten since starting this, and I have to get back to that, actually. I'm so grateful for the feedback. I've heard other people who do this kind of stuff, who produce content, talk about it really is the people they connect with on the channel that become the motivation, that, become the community, that the conversation starts to evolve around the community and what the community is interested in. So I did get some feedback, and I have been getting some comments, and so I wanted to respond to one of them, which is, how do I grow? How do I become ascended? How do I do this? Because, and I, I'm guilty of it myself, and I think there's just so much ground that needs to be covered that we're just trying to start somewhere, right? Like, we're trying to get new information out. We're trying to sort of break through the old paradigms. We're trying to create platforms. Building these platforms is not, it takes a minute. So, and we're trying to build these platforms so that we can help each other, because we know that the institutions that are in place to help us aren't doing it. So I kind of just needed to start with just like throwing what I know out there and what I've been seeing. The gaslighting, the narcissistic personality disorder, the psychological projection, the shaming, and basically all of the unhealthy patterns that constitute our society. They needed to have a counter narrative. And though collectively I think I have like, 1,200 views of all 26 of my videos right now, to me that's enough. To me, those are the people that were meant to hear what I'm trying to say. If the 23 subscribers I have on my YouTube channel right now actually get something out of what I'm saying, don't feel so alone, can vibe with what I'm saying, because once you start going through this process, once you start to wake up, once you start to realize that you are living in a matrix and that shit just doesn't make sense, you become alienated in your current community generally. Because generally, if you're going from a place of not being awakened to awakened, the life that you've lived leading up to during your pre-awakening phase is largely constituted of people who are not awakened either. Now, you might be lucky. There might be someone in your current, community that's sort of a black sheep as well, that's been watching you, waiting for you to wake up and, says, oh my gosh, I finally have a friend. That happens. I'm not ruling that out. But by and large, whole groups, or cliques of people don't just like wake up together. It's generally there are individuals that do that. So if I'm connecting with people and it's 23 and people, not 23,000 or 23 million. 23 is enough. That's 23 people that sat and listened to what I was saying and got something out of it and said thank you, and that's hugely important to me. So that's really the only thing that matters. Even if one person saw this and said, and they have, and to the person who said to me, I feel like if everyone on earth were able to see this video, we would have one divine moment. I mean, that's all I needed to hear. Yeah, so here's a great one. I'm literally just completely blown away. Wow, thank you. What you just said in this 17 minutes is beyond anything any kind of world-renowned psychologist could say in their whole career. You're so healthy. I'm inspired and uplifted after watching this. I appreciate you, and I'm sure so many others do too. Well, not that many others, but to the person who said that, you have to know how much that means to me. Thank you. So I want to talk a little bit now about how, okay? Because everyone's saying these days, you need to wake up. People need to wake up. It's time to wake up. Wake up, wake up. And it's like, you can't just wake up. I mean, we can receive the awareness, okay? We can know, we can go through an experience that wakes us up, right? I read a book in 2010 that changed my life and made me realize that I was a victim. It put more focus on my thoughts, and it made me aware that what I think is who I am. What I think is what I do, and how it's all connected. And it's so easy to take this for granted 11 years later, but I'm not really helping anyone if I take it for granted. And now some of us are on different levels of this journey than, we're all on different levels. But someone said, explain. So I will. So fundamentally, what becoming prepared for the new earth. So fundamentally, becoming prepared for the new earth entails taking responsibility for yourself in a nutshell. And so much of what is being indoctrinated into us is that the change we want to see, the future we want to build is outside of us. Oh, Elon Musk is going to go to Mars and fix everything, or the U.S. government is going to dispense stimulus checks, right? Or I'm going to put something into my body that hasn't been FDA approved, and that's going to fix me. And the reality is, none of it's out there. I mean, that's the big lie, is that it's out there, when in fact, everything that is out there right now has been created because of what's going on in here. So that is where all the potential lies. That is where our infinite being truly lies. So in order to tap into that, we have to take responsibility for everything. And that means even our thoughts, every single thought we have every day, we have to be responsible for. I know, it sounds like a lot. And I said once before, becoming this sovereign being is generally for most harder than anything we can imagine. But what we also realize is that the whole notion of difficult is a creation of our imagination, okay? Difficult, the word difficult is only allowed to exist because of judgment, okay? And judgment is a lack of acceptance. Judgment is the opposite of acceptance. So when we say, it's so difficult, that's based on our judgment that it is difficult. However, if we just accepted everything the way it was, if, doing something 19 times to get it right didn't annoy us, we just, in our minds, were able to say, well, that's one less time I'm going to have to try. I got through that one. If we accept the way things are and just keep going anyway, okay, if we don't judge, then, and we don't value making our dreams come true with words like hard or difficult or time-consuming or painful, then they aren't hard or difficult or time-consuming or painful. They just are, because it is our assessment that they are as such that makes them as such. So we need to take complete responsibility for who we are, and we have to start learning the art of acceptance. If we can accept things for as they are and don't try and impose our will on them, then they turn out okay, generally. Another thing we need to do is learn to say we're sorry, okay? Sometimes we make mistakes. There is a lot of pressure in this world to be perfect, and that is one of the lies. We become free when we screw up and we say, dang, I'm sorry. Boom, over. I wonder how many divorces and terrible things, divorces and terrible arguments and bands broke up because people, I wonder how many bands broke up because people couldn't just say they're sorry and mean it. Like, damn. And here's the thing about I'm sorry. I'm sorry is not I did something wrong. Okay, it's not that I did it incorrectly. It's not that I did it because I wanted to hurt you. No, we say I'm sorry because of the way the other person feels, regardless of the circumstances that lead up to the apology. We apologize because something that we did, whether we intended it to be hurtful or spiteful or not, hurt someone. And so we say we're sorry because of the way they are feeling. That is how we honor other people's feelings. Because in their mind, they might have a justified reason for feeling the way they feel that we don't know about or understand. So, I may have had the best intentions, but those intentions didn't go according to my plan. They went according to someone else's plan, and that person had their feelings hurt. So, saying I'm sorry is a big deal. The next thing we really need to get good at is forgiving. Okay? So when we forgive, again, we aren't doing it in the old-fashioned way, which is like, well, golly gee whiz. Like, you sure did screw everything up for me. But, because I'm the patron saint of being cooler than other people, I'm going to say I'm sorry and pardon you, right? We're not forgiving them. And I'm going to pardon you for being a jerk. And what we wind up holding on to when we do that is the jerkness of the statement. So I forgive you for being a jerk. Basically, the primary or dominant vibration that we're holding on to is that I'm better than you, but I'm going to pardon you anyway, jerk though you may be. And what we're really doing when we do that is we're actually implanting ourselves with like a jerk algorithm. Now, the true way to apologize is to basically detach from whatever the deed was and be non-judgmental, right? We accept, this is what happens sometimes. Lives unfold sequentially. They are a sequence of events that ultimately build who we are, our character, our personalities, all of that is built sequentially over time. And so whatever that sequence of events is that put that person where they are psychologically and spiritually in their journey, they have to confront that. They have to deal with that. That is their karma to deal with. And so when we say, I forgive you, what we mean is, I don't care about what you did to me because you did it because of who you are, not because of who I am. So it's okay, man. It's all good. I forgive you. I don't care that you stole my shit or, ran into my car and ruined my day. I just don't care because it's not about you. It's about me, right? I'm not going to let what you did harsh my mellow. I'm not going to let what you did put me in a negative vibrational state. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay focused on what's important to me. I'm going to embrace unconditional love. And unconditional love really is no matter what you do, I don't care because I have to live my karma and you have to live yours. So we have to learn to forgive in a new way, which is I love you. I forgive you and I don't care what you think. In AA, they used to teach us that it's very important to sort of keep our side of the street clean. That's a huge skill set or tool to develop as we sort of move into becoming healthier and sort of less affected by our trauma. What does that mean, keeping my side of the street clean? Quite literally, it means, to me anyway, accepting the daily mundanity of life. Life is boring sometimes. We are taught to have exciting lives. We watch other people on Instagram and, Hollywood movie stars who really don't exist anymore. That's another show, right? Like, WTF happened to Hollywood? Like, where'd Hollywood go? And Game of Thrones? Remember Game of Thrones? I haven't thought about it in a long time. Anyway, so we can become envious, right? But life isn't supposed to be excitement all the time. There is such a thing as excitement seeking, and that can drive people into some very deep, dark ditches. Like, if you're seeking excitement, when I used to do that, I woke up at some strange places. That's all I'm going to say. So keeping our side of the street clean means that we do what we're supposed to do. We show up for life on a daily basis. We show up for life on a daily basis, and we do the things that we need to do in order to sleep at night. Whether it's, for me, I have chores. I have to get up every morning and feed the birds. I have to change the bird baths. I have to refill the squirrel feeders. I have to clean them, because other critters get in there during the night. And I do it every morning, every day. And sometimes it's just the last thing I want to do, but I do it. Okay. Same with work. I work for other people sometimes. And when I do that, I have to deliver what I say I'm going to deliver when I say I'm going to deliver it. And sometimes it's the last thing I want to do. Sometimes listening to someone else talk is the last thing we want to do. But if we want to show up for life, we have to do the things sometimes that we want to do least. And if we can do it without giving a shit, right? Again, that goes back to acceptance and judgment. Like, if we can do the things that annoy the crap out of us without really caring, if we can detach from that part of us that keeps saying over and over in our mind, like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Like, actually, I'm making it suck by saying it sucks. And rather than do that, I'm just going to do it. And it's going to be done, and I'm going to sleep at night. And so keeping our side of the street clean. Or, if we see someone acting in a way that we might have an opinion about, and that person is sort of within earshot, or, we're all sort of at the same happy hour or something like that. And by the way, I haven't been to a happy hour in like 8 years, but, something like that. We have an opportunity in that moment to open our mouths and sort of let them know what we think and feel, or we can keep our mouths shut and keep our side of the street clean. Like, unsolicited advice. People don't like unsolicited advice, okay? So, that's a great example of keeping one side of the street clean. It's funny. A lot of the people I sent these videos to assumed I wanted their opinion about my video, because I'm trying, right? Like, they don't understand that for me, being vulnerable and trying and falling flat on my face publicly is not a big deal. Like, I don't care that much about what people think about me. What I care about is that I do what I know I need to do. And if I, get better at it over time, that's great. If the end result is better over time, that's great. But ultimately, I'm doing it because I have to. So by keeping our side of the street clean, we're showing up for life. We're doing the daily mundane things that aren't that fun all the time. And as we go along and as we become less and less attached to our feelings around a thing, like, I have to mow the lawn today. I hate mowing the lawn, right? If we can let those sort of self-sabotaging, repetitive thoughts go, like release judgment, then we don't feel the sucky factor anymore. Then the suck factor disappears because we stop creating it. We stop alchemizing it. We stop bringing it into reality through our persistent thoughts. And then, another thing that we kind of need to do in order to get on a higher plateau is put other people before ourselves. Now, not physically, right? Like, I'm not telling you to like give away your life savings so that you can save someone's life. Although I've done that before. And if you have to, do it. If you're the only one, if God sort of tapped you for the mission and it involves that, you'll recover. I did. But that's not what I'm implying generally. What I'm implying generally can really be summed up by the St. Francis prayer. Are you guys familiar with that? So the St. Francis prayer goes, let's see. God, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, let me sow pardon. Where there's doubt, let me sow faith. Where there is despair, let me sow hope. Where there is darkness, let me sow light. And where there is sadness, let me sow joy. O divine Master, I pray that I may not so much seek to console as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born again to eternal life. Now, what the heck does that mean? Basically, what that means is, if I'm doing for others, if I'm treating others the way I want to be treated, right? If I am consoling rather than seeking to be consoled, if I'm pardoning instead of being pardoned, if I'm giving love rather than stealing love, or taking love, then I become what I give, right? The gift is in the giving because that's who we are, because those are the thoughts that we have. Like, I'm going to help this person means I'm going to help me. Like, I'm going to love this person means I'm going to love me. Because I'm not what you say I am. You are what you say I am, which means that how we perceive others, okay, how we treat others, what we do to others is actually who we are. And when we do it to them, we're actually doing it to ourselves. So what the St. Francis prayer to me embodies is basically an instruction manual that covers, a spectrum of how we can relate with others, right? We can either be the ones that are constantly sort of sucking the life or the air out of a situation, or we can be the ones that are contributing to the well-being of that situation. And when we do that, we're actually contributing to our own well-being. Now, we do have to get down to the heart of the matter if we are helping people selfishly, right? Like, I'm gonna game the universe on this one. I'm gonna help others and Our primary point of attraction is still I'm getting, right? I want to take, and so we will be taken from. But if we give because we know it's the right thing to do, because we know that that's why we're here, if we know that helping one another is the gift truly is in the giving, we receive the gift. What we become as a result of pardoning instead of being pardoned is what we receive, when we pardon instead of being pardoned is the gift of forgiveness, because we give forgiveness, so we get forgiveness. When we understand others instead of, pushing and pushing and pushing to have them understand us, they feel understood. And we're giving them a gift. And when we give them that gift, we become understood. Like, we are understanding, right? Like, we understand ourselves. Others start to understand us. If understanding is what we want, the best way to get it is to give it. You seeing the trend? So the St. Francis prayer is a good one. Anyway, so I think I've sort of rambled on long enough. Really, I just wanted to just give some practical suggestions on what we can do, like what real steps, like what real adjustments, like what we can do in practice to achieve the level of healing and growth that we want. I also want to say thank you to everyone who has taken the time to listen to this. I know it's not fun. If I wanted to be a YouTube star, I'd be having a cooking channel, not this. I mean, I know this is not fun. And so I salute everyone who has done an about face on their current situation and chosen to dive deep. So, and to everyone who has said thank you or that's helpful, like, I want you to know that you will be thanked and that help will come to you because of your kindness and your generosity. And I pray for that for you. So I'm going to ease off the throttle as far as like next steps. There are lots more next steps that I feel people can be taking, and there will be sort of subjects for other discussions. I think that this is a good place to stop for now. As always, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.